Please welcome the cast of Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. RJ Kyler, Olivia Cook, Thomas Mann, and the director Alfonso Gomez Rejon. Hello all, welcome. All suited and booted, making me look rather, scruffy, which is a good start. This is a fantastic film. It really moved me, and I wanted to talk to you first of all about what it was about this subject material, the subject matter that drew you in. Alfonso, let's start with you.
It didn't start with the subject matter as much as it did with the character of Greg. I saw myself in him throughout the entire. All of his emotional journey throughout the entire film, and I was very surprised because Jesse Andrews, I didn't know him. He was much younger than I am, and I was surprised at how touched I was. And certainly, I love the way that it dealt with adolescence in a way that didn't talk down to them, and it spoke to me, and that it celebrated movies, obviously, and also this idea that even after people die, their stories can continue to unfold. And I guess in my personal life, I guess I was searching for some kind of continuum or some proof of that. And I didn't believe that idea, but in the course of making the movie and exhibiting the movie, I started to believe that, and I was changed quite a bit by it.
Oh wow, okay. And Thomas, you are Greg in this, the me of the title. Did the character speak to you as well in the way that he did to Alfonso?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just love the way that Jesse Andrews writes teenagers. You know, they never say the perfect thing, and it's kind of a clumsy way of talking. And it was like a lot of teenagers that I know, and the kind of teenager that I was. And I like that he wasn't a perfectly likable character. You know, he had a lot of growing up to do, and the writing sort of embraced the selfishness and stubbornness of teenagers, which I just thought was very honest, and it was something that felt different from a lot of coming-of-age scripts that I'd read and coming-of-age movies that I'd been a part of before, and so I knew it was something that I could sink my teeth into, and it was really funny, but also had this great emotional weight to it.
Mm. And Olivia, you play Rachel, the dying girl of the title. Again, can you talk about the connection to the character?
I think I just like the fact that she wasn't written as a teenage girl that's really insecure and self-deprecating and is just riddled with all these things that she hates about herself. Rachel's really confident and she likes herself, and I just think it was really refreshing to read a female character of that age that was like that.
And obviously, you've done accents before, but that, in the movie, that is an incredible accent. Where did you study? How did that come about for you?
I am on a TV show that films in Vancouver, and I have a great dialect coach in Vancouver when I'm on that show, so I try and practice the exercises that she taught me when I'm not doing the show, and so I kind of passed it on for this movie as well. Yeah. And I think I had a Skype with her, just like a refresh.
Just a refresh. And RJ, you are Earl?
That's me.
Who is Earl? Did he speak to you, sir?
Earl is this hot chocolate fella. No, I'm playing. Earl is really just, he's the best friend of Greg and a newly found friend of Rachel. He's just like, he doesn't say too much in the movie, but what he says always is something that you have to think about. He's just like the moral compass. He's a small moral compass, but he's still cute, and he's just that person that makes you think, and he's the voice of the audience, if you will. Everything that the audience wants to say, Earl will say it, just, that's that fella.
Absolutely. It's your first film as well.
It is my first baby.
How did that come about for you?
Well, 7 years ago, no, I'm playing, but I got the audition from my managers while I was playing Xbox, which is a very constructive activity, I know. It leads to great futures. And they knew that I was playing Xbox, and it was like, RJ, put the Xbox controller down. It scared me a little bit, because that's a little creepy, and I started reading, and I just fell in love with the script. I couldn't stop reading it. I read it twice that day, actually, and I was just like, it's so honest, and it's funny, and it's not pulling for anything. And so I went and auditioned with Angela, and I think she liked me. As an actor, I think I did a good job at the audition. Then I met Thomas, and I was kind of nervous before I met Thomas because I, watched him on movies. He's on my instant queue and Netflix. So that's
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all of them are really.
Yeah.
Bates Motel for Olivia, and American Horror Story for Alfonso,
Yeah.
and Hansel and Gretel is on my iPad. So that happens. And then she called me back and and was like, my managers called me and was like, okay, they want to make an offer. And I was in Missouri at the time. And I screamed like a girl. I did. It happens out of every grown man. And, it was a dream come true, really, that I had the opportunity to work with such amazing people. Like, literally, they're the best that I could ever, ask for. And now everybody else has to live up to them. Like, I love these guys, to be honest.
You're not going to quit, are you? That's
I don't know. Thank you guys for sending me into early retirement. I love you so much. But I know, it's just certain people
Stay
that
with
you
us.
meet.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
By the way, Angela is Angela Demore, our casting director.
Okay, yeah, sure.
RJ talks
I'm
like
so
everyone
sorry.
knows everyone. I'm
Sorry.
Angela and
I
then
apologize.
You guys know Angela? Everyone knows Angela.
Alfonso, how difficult was it to find the perfect Greg and Rachel for this?
It's tedious, and you see a lot of people, and then it's quite easy the second you know who it is. The second someone walks into the room, you know who it is, and the second Olivia had a gut feeling about her, an instinct that felt like she was right. Thomas as well, RJ as well, and then it's about pairing them together and hope that they work as a couple, and that's where it gets tricky. You don't want to be wrong. I really wanted Thomas, but if the chemistry was different between him and Olivia, you can't. That will not work because it'll lead an audience to expect a love story. And they had, luckily, and sometimes the camera and the chemistry tests are so important because the camera sometimes captures something that you can't see when you're there in front of them. Something feels a certain way, then when you play it back, there's another thing happening that's kind of a mystery, and that's kind of the fun part of making films. And luckily, when I paired them together, it was immediately clear that they were the right Greg and Rachel.
But then he saw loads of other people after that.
We were the first two Greg and Rachels to read together, and then he saw a bunch of other people, and
Just to
then
make
3
sure.
weeks later he made the decision.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, when you start, in my defense, when you start the audition process, you do 1 or 2 scenes, and you keep it moving. There's a lot of people to see, and then by the end, Thomas and Olivia were auditioning with like 30 pages of scenes at that point. And there's a lot, when you see the movie, there are a lot of different emotions throughout, and I'm not only Thomas is carrying the film, but he's also in some ways carrying me, so you really had to make sure that this is the right chemistry, the right casting, because if that's wrong, the whole movie is wrong. And after the last chemistry read, I'll start that way. It was very clear that they were perfect. There was an intense connection that was beyond. It wasn't a traditional love story. It was about love, and it was an intense connection, and it was very clear that they were right. And then when RJ came along and saved the movie, really, because we had no Earl in the Me and Earl and Dying Girl, then it was about chemistry reading him and Thomas together, and then they had a wonderful connection. Then once the three of them got together, it at least appeared to be very effortless.
Yeah. You guys must have thought once we were done with school, that's it, no more chemistry tests for us. But then you go into this. I know it's a surreal experience. I imagine auditioning, where you put yourself out there anyway, is quite surreal. But what's a chemistry read like? Does that feel even weirder, I guess, than auditions?
It is weird because it's kind of testing something that you can't really see, and that's not very tangible. It's completely abstract, and you can think that you get on in real life, but then when you act together and then you're on camera, sometimes it doesn't transcend, and it is strange.
It is. I actually prefer it because it's much more real than reading with a casting director sitting behind a camera. It's much closer to the real thing. And me and Olivia sort of cheated. We got together the night before and had dinner and sort of broke the ice that way. It was like an actor's blind date, and it worked. And I mean, obviously, but it was great. We felt like we were on the same team when we got in the room together.
Did you know about the cheating? Did you know that they got together the night before?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
We didn't tell you.
Otherwise-
First time we've told you.
Bombshell.
No.
Bombshell. Well, let's take a look at the guys in action. And here's a clip from the movie now. This is the first time that Greg and Rachel speak after Rachel's diagnosis. Take a look. So, I just want to talk. The film is very funny, Alfonso, but it's also very moving as well. I want to talk about the tonal tightrope you walk as a director. Can you talk about that, trying to capture that essence of funny, sad at the same time, but not going too far in one direction?
Well, you hope you keep playing with it until they take the film away from you. I think someone said to me that.
So you still be editing right now?
No, yeah, the films aren't released; they escape.
Yeah.
And it's so true. You know, you need deadlines sometimes, otherwise you'd still be tweaking the volume a half decibel here. I'll answer by quoting. You know, the person behind most of the music in the film is Brian Eno. And when he committed to the film, to working on the film and then eventually writing for the film, he wrote me an email, and he said that the reason he liked the film was that it captured that in life there is a swirl of emotions. There's never one constant emotion, and he never, when he writes music, wants to write a piece of music that only has one tone and one feeling. That life is about these contradictory emotional currents crashing into each other. And I don't know if the film captures that, but that was the goal. And it was his words, not mine, but the idea is to feel something authentic, to have a genuine emotional kind of journey. I needed one for a lot of reasons, and I would, if I had to manufacture an emotion to make you feel, and maybe you would cry, that would wear off and you might resent it. But I think if you're respectful of the audience and you allow them to go on their own journey, and if they feel great, if they don't, that's fine too. But give them the choice and respect their journey. I think that was very important to me, and that was the hope. And it's up to you to decide after you see the film.
Absolutely. And for the actors as well, how difficult is it to make sure you're hitting the right tone as actors throughout a film like this?
I mean, the script was so good, and it just seemed to flow so naturally from the funny parts to the parts where it makes you really, feel something. And then also Alfonso was great at kind of bringing the comedy down. It was always about doing less, which ended up making the scenes work better and making them funnier. And so it was like it's just little calibrations here and there, but the writing was so good that I just kind of understood Greg immediately. And like you said, you can't have the light without the dark. They coexist constantly in life, and so you just had to trust the script, and that was that.
Olivia and RJ as well?
I mean, we didn't go into each scene as, oh, this is comedy, and then the other one like, this is sad now, guys. We were often surprised actually how a scene, when you read it, it was so hilarious, and how it kind of shifted when we got up to do it and we played it out. It kind of we're often really surprised to find just hidden emotion, and sometimes we found, especially there's a scene in Rachel's bedroom where a big gag was taken out because it was just deemed kind of too insensitive for the moment.
Okay.
So we just went along for that. But it was really funny.
In context and then out of, it always changes.
Absolutely. But I imagine it was quite fun because another part of the film as well, I think you talked about it earlier on, is that Greg and Earl make films. They're short films inspired by classic movies. There's a lot of Werner Herzog references in the movie, hence my T-shirt. Was that fun for you guys to shoot all that sort of stuff? And Alfonso, did you direct those bits as well?
No. I mean, Ed Bursch and Nate Marsh made the films. Obviously, I'm behind the choices of what films that were very important to me. Once you get involved, to start personalizing the movie, and this is an opportunity to pay homage to the people that influenced me, and that's part of the journey. Is when you're part of a project that you don't initiate or you don't write, to then there's a part where you have to start making it your own, so you can feel more connected to it, and having references that I don't know, that give thanks to the people that influenced me was very important to me. But it was impossible to do everything, and as a former second unit director, I had a lot of faith in two young filmmakers from Pittsburgh who I entrusted with creating those films as if they were Greg and Earl at 9, at 10, at 15, at 17. And so we would then choose what films to pay homage to, what scene to pay homage to in that film, and how old were they when they made that specific parody, and what equipment did they use. So there's a lot of thought went into it, and then it's about letting them be creative.
Fantastic. So did you have fun making those short films, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made most of them in the first day of shooting, and it was just like us in a minivan with a bunch of costumes. It was very, very guerrilla style. It was me, Thomas, Ed, Nate, and a driver. Yeah, we got a lot of weird looks, but they were really good weird looks. Yeah, it was really fun. It was just like doing stuff in high school with your friends, you know, when you make dumb Instagram videos or something like that. You know, it was that fun. So yeah.
Did you have reference points? Did you have clips of the films you were parodying on a computer so you could just make sure you could hit the beats?
I don't think I even realized we were doing all of them the first day, and so then they're like, we pull up to this park and like, okay, so this is the Klaus Kinski Burden of Dreams, so get ready to do the accent, and then so Jerry Sullivan, our production designer, is like yelling at me in a German accent, like trying to get it, and then I'm watching this YouTube clip over and over again, and then, you know, we're in the park, there's kids running around, and I'm like cursing at the top of my lungs in this Klaus Kinski voice, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was great. I don't know. It was rare. You never get to do stuff like that in like a professional, real film, you know?
It's fantastic. We've got one more clip now, and then you guys can ask some questions if you have any. And this clip is a scene between Greg and Earl and Rachel. I should probably say, Alfonso, I don't know how to set this up in a way, but let's say Greg and Earl have consumed some illicit substances. Accidentally consumed some illicit substances before this clip begins, which explains why Greg is not entirely present in the scene. Take a look. So, thank you. Burning question, who was in the costumes?
Yeah, the PA, his name is DJ.
DJ.
And Chung Won Chung, Chung Won Chung, who's the cinematographer, his translator, Saul. Chung Won Chung had a translator around that he didn't really need, so we just tortured him. And he was a astrophysicist, 20-year-old from Korea who happened to be in Pittsburgh and needed some money for a summer job. Little did he know he was getting into working on. It was a dream job for any other Korean filmmaker who got to work with Chung Won Chung, the greatest cinematographer, and so incredibly famous too. He shoots all of director Park Chan-wook's work. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And there he was. He had no idea what he was getting into. And the first couple of days, you have to wake him up because it's like day 10, day 2, and he was falling asleep on this. So we would just put him in costumes.
Why not? Why not? Were you tempted to get in yourself?
Never, not once.
Never? Okay. If you have any questions now for Alfonso and Thomas, Olivia, and RJ, then do put your hands up. There is a hand right there in the center. I think we have some microphones. We're going to try and get one round to you. You just keep your hand up so we can. There we go. Thank you.
It was referenced that it's a very intense film. The scenes were intense in parts, and it was quite a short schedule you filmed on. Was it hard to kind of go through so much every day and not let it take its toll on you?
For the actors, sure.
Well, you as well, I suppose.
It always took its toll, but it was good to feel again. You know, I threw myself into this film, as did everybody, not only here on stage, but the entire crew. Every crew member really threw themselves into this film and poured their heart into it, and you can feel it. And it was good to feel. I felt very much alive, and if you had to cry, you cried, and if you laughed, you laughed, and so did everyone around you. And it was very, very intense and very hard to say goodbye to the last day of production was very difficult, and for a lot of reasons, not only because of the scene that we were shooting, but it was also saying goodbye to an experience that I did not want to end.
Yeah, it was mostly a lot of fun. Even the days that were really heavy, it was heavy for the right reasons, and you felt very full, and like you just, we got what we wanted to. If we had to cry, throughout the day, then so be it. But the crew was great at unwinding. We always got together. Everyone liked to. Well, there were a bunch of big partiers. Everyone liked to hang out after work, and so that was really great. And it just felt like a big family, and everyone was there for the right reasons. So it was mostly fun the whole time.
Yeah, it felt like summer camp. It felt like we were on what's it called? Like a team building exercise with your friend. No, it didn't. That was the yeah. Well, Molly Shannon says it was like arts and crafts camp, because everyone was just off making things, and everyone was buzzing around, and everyone was just so enthused and excited to just come to work every day, which never really happens. You can never really say that for the cast and or everyone on the crew as well.
Yeah, for me, since it was my first, time or whatever, and I'm a little, I'm like a ball of Red Bull, so I don't get tired really. So after we would finish shooting, I would just be ready to go again, because these guys are amazing. Like the whole time, I was just like, okay, are we working today? Then they'd be like, no, RJ, you got a day off, and then I'll be mad, a little sad, just like this much. And sometimes I'll just come hang out on set because that's how,
There was always, I'd be shooting, and there's RJ. It's like, what am I doing today? Am I doing another scene? He just came to hang out.
Why not? Why not? Any other questions? Yes, sir. There's a lady here.
Hello. So my question is for Alfonso, right here. And I just wanted to know what contributes to your decision to move forward with the movie.
It was the first time in a very long time that I knew that in my personal life I was getting away from the films I thought I'd be making at that point in my life. I thought I'd have a career making personal films, and it was taking longer to get there. And I was very lucky at the same time. I was doing really wonderful, I was a part of a very wonderful show, a series of shows that allowed me to be very creative and experiment. And that was very fulfilling to a point. At some point, you want to start telling personal stories. And of course, you're writing and you're developing your own material, but they just take so long and they fall apart, And then when I read the script, it touched me deeply. And I was surprised at how deeply it touched me, how personal I thought it was to me. And then I found a way to personalize the movie. And really, it was very much in sync with who I was at that point in my life. And I wanted to be, by the end of the film, not only believe the message of the movie, but be on the path of putting myself together the way Greg was. And so that really excited me. It scared me if I didn't get the job, and I worked very hard to try to win it, and I did, thank God.
And now there's a question from a gentleman over here. Thank you.
Hello. I have two questions, actually. My first question is to Mr. Alfonso. I'm a short film director, and I'm going to do my first feature film next February. So I would like to ask you, what is advice that you would give to an aspiring filmmaker in order to make their first feature film? And my second question is to the whole cast. Is it possible to take a group photo with you after the Q&A?
Possibly not in that one, because they
sure
had to go
possible.
straight to Somerton House
He asked.
for the premiere. But you never know. But yes, the advice.
Sorry, I don't know. I mean, the fact that you're on your way from making short films and then making a feature films, you're in a much better place than a lot of other people are. Usually, the advice is to not try to make something that's part of a trend, not try to make something because you think it will be commercial, because your voice will be lost on the way. And usually, the best advice is try to do something personal and something that you can actually finish. A lot of people keep working on the same screenplays for decades or years, because it's hard to finish something because there's a fear of failure, there's a fear of success also. So the fact that you seem to have finished a short and are on the way to make a feature is you probably need less advice than other people, because you already have a certain, you're probably a very ambitious and probably stubborn as well, and I commend you for that. So I think as long as you stay true to yourself and don't get lost in the game of trying to make something because you think it'll be commercial, I think if you make something personal, whatever that your sensibilities might be, those will shine, and not be afraid to finish the film, exhibit the film, show it, be rejected, go back and do what you can to fix it, and then I'm sure it'll lead to much success, or at the very least lead to another film. And whatever happens, you still have to pick yourself up and make another one, or win an award and then make another one.
You worked in your career with the likes of Martin Scorsese and Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu. Did you ask them for advice before you started working this one?
Not this one, and Nora Ephron. I always have to mention her.
Nora
She was
Ephron,
very
of course,
important
yes.
to me. They speak to you even when you're not asking them for advice. You know, just observing the way they handle situations, problems, realize their ideas, communicate their vision. seeing how they deal with success and failure. I think all of that you start to soak everything in. There's been a couple of occasions where I've specifically asked for advice. Certainly Scorsese and Thelma Schoonmaker Powell, who was married to Michael Powell. But usually you don't want to ask favors. I don't want to ask any of these favors, but you've learned your lessons hopefully along the way about why to make movies, not how really, because you can't copy their style. That's them, you're you. But it's more about the why, and that usually if you can't answer why are you making this movie, there's a problem.
And guys, Thomas, Olivia, and RJ, I mean, as young actors making your way in the business, who do you turn to for advice?
Alfonso.
Alfonso's our role model. Yeah.
He's our
So
god.
easy, such
He's our
an easy
idol.
out.
I turn to I turn to Siri. Let me take. No, I'm playing. It's mostly Alfonso. He checks on me a lot.
Good
you know.
answer.
Thank
The answer
you.
is we're at the Apple store.
Siri gives excellent advice, by the way.
Excellent.
Excellent career advice. We've got time for, I think, one last question. Right at the very back here. Yes, please.
This is for the whole cast. I imagine playing these roles was kind of, I guess, challenging given the subject matter. But were you able to take any experience from your personal life or anything to play them?
We get asked this question a lot, and I think for all of us, if we're not moved enough by the story that we have to pull from our personal lives, then there's a bit of a problem. We probably shouldn't be doing that movie. And that wasn't the case with this because it was just so emotive, and Jesse Andrews just wrote a beautiful script, and the direction from Alfonso was kind of all we needed, and just my fellow actors to really get there emotionally and in the comedic times as well, because we just all have such a wonderful chemistry together, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, it is such a specific story, and you know, I've lost grandparents to cancer, as you know, most people probably have, and it's affected so many people. But in other ways, you know, I connect to Greg because you know, when you see kind of less admirable parts of yourself in a character, it forces you to want to kind of explore that and sort of grow up with a character, and yeah, it kind of hit an emotional chord with me because you know, I saw a lot of myself in him, and it's just something you kind of want to work through things, and that's why in acting can be very therapeutic in a lot of ways. Maybe it shouldn't be, but yeah, I found that was definitely I had a hook in him, and I wanted to kind of dig into this story and kind of pour myself into it for that reason.
Yeah, I wouldn't. You know, as Thomas said, my grandmothers both had cancer, and that's what happened to those two beautiful women. But it wasn't something that I had to draw upon. Because I'm not usually an emotional person. I know it seems like I'm very emotionally distraught. I know, I understand, but it was just. Usually, just what came out of the script and then direction by Alfonso. Like, he can pull emotion out of this whole room in like 35 seconds. It's amazing, all right? And it was just that, and also the help of Thomas and Olivia, and, it just works.
And it's also so specific to the story as well. Yeah. So.
Did you want your actors to do some research into
Well,
topics
Olivia and
like
I did
this,
some
or?
research together. It was important that, like for instance, like Thomas and RJ, it was important to me that at least they were aware of some of the films that we were referencing. But for Olivia, it was we wanted to make sure that we got the details of her cancer correct, and we both did research and mapped out her journey throughout the film, and how she was feeling when did she turn legally 18 to make certain decisions in her life, and mapped it out, and that was a chart that was relayed to the entire crew because it affects costume and wardrobe and makeup, and so of course we wanted to make sure that it wasn't never going to be a documentary, but we want to make sure that the details were at least correct, so that journey, if people have gone through that experience, that they could connect to it and find it honest.
Because, of course, the straightforward thing to do would be to shoot that chronologically. But I imagine with an independent movie with a tight schedule, that's not a luxury that you can afford.
It's impossible. I mean,
Yeah.
we try to a point. You do as much as you can until it becomes cost prohibitive. If we had all the money in the world, yes, you shoot it in chronological order, and it makes sense, and it helps the actors. The best thing for the actors, more than for the directing, is for the actors. But we did what we could, and of course, Olivia really did shave her head for the role. So that forced us into some sort of chronological order. But so we did our best that at least her scenes had some kind of chronological order to them. But yeah, the dream is to make the entire movie that way, but it's not usually the case.
And actually, that's a note on which we're going to end. It's a fantastic movie. I do urge you all to go and see it. Please give it up for R.J. Kyler, Olivia Cook, Thomas Mann, and Alfonso Gomez Rejon. Thank you very much.